Dear colleagues, we continue our working day, and the topic is how does the state provide housing for servicemen of the National Guard of Ukraine? And our speaker is Oleksandr Yarosh, head of the Office for Housing of the main department of the National Guard. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. One of the main activity of the Office of Housing of National Guard is provision of servicemen, of the members of their family, of permanent housing and service housing. And we provide those servicemen who do not have 20 years of service, and those who have more than 20 years of service, they have the opportunity to have their own housing. We have more than 5,000 servicemen who need housing and who are in the list for the provision of the housing. And the picture is like this. And northern territorial 955, in western 939, in the in other 327, and the west is about 500, and the biggest part is in Kiev Oblast. And with a view to provide social security of servicemen, the state budget for 2015 for there was envisaged some funds, 121 million hryvnias for the provision of housing to servicemen. These funds were directed at a number of activities and reconstruction of housing, and more about 45 million were directed to this, and 12 million for other activities, and also 2 million and a half million were then project works for the correction of project documentation for the housing in Tryeshina district of Kiev. And the 970,000 were directed at these activities. And in 2015, we were able to improve the housing conditions of 305 servicemen and their families. And we provided flats to 92 members of National Guard. These flats were bought in different oblasts of our state, mainly in Kharkiv and Kharkiv Oblast. We bought 20. In Kiev and Kiev Oblast, 64. In Odessa, 4. In Ternopil, also 4 flats that were provided to the servicemen who needed badly the improvement in living conditions. And also I stated that 45 million was provided for the building of the housing and the reconstruction of housing. We reconstructed 2 houses, and we developed it into 80 flats. And in the December last year, we provided keys to these flats to our servicemen. Moreover, reconstruction was provided to create some housing for the division 3005, and we got 35 rooms for our servicemen and who serve under contract. Also, we provided funds for different program, and we provided some overhaul repairs in 3066 military unit. And also I would like to tell you about the provision of housing to the ATO servicemen. Housing is needed by 47 families of the servicemen who were injured and need improvement in housing conditions. As of today, I would like to say that there were about 15 families of those who died in ATO operation. All these 15 families are provided with housing, 100%. And we hope that these figures of those who died, we hope that there won't be any dead soldiers. And I believe that now the situation somehow deteriorates now, but there's no intensive fire, and we hope for better results. That won't be any servicemen who would be killed. So, as about building of new housing, is the main problems are debts and also some buildings that are not built until the end. And we have under construction, and we reduced this number. And as to buying of new housing, we were able to achieve to economize some funds by rational use of the funds. And I would like to state that it's easier and less costly to rebuild our own housing, and the cost of this housing is about 7,500 per square meter. That gives us opportunity to build more housing, and also I stated above that part of funds was allocated for buying. It was 72.3 million we allocated for buying of housing, and through tenders we were able to buy housing at lowest price, and this provided us with some figure how to reduce the amount of money spent on the housing. Also for 2016, the budget envisages, and it is written in the 121 million hryvnias for housing was allocated, and we made some proposals that were adopted, and we proposed to build 5 objects of our that will be built this year. And these are a 9-story building in Khmelnytsk, and to continue construction works to build housing for National Academy in Kharkiv, and also to construct 2 buildings for 50 flats in each in the unit 3027, and also to correct documentation for the building of housing in Tryeshina region of Kiev. 65 million is proposed to be spent on buying housing for servicemen of National Guard as for permanent and service housing. And this year we are going to have such results. We hope that we will be able to provide housing for 330 servicemen of National Guard with permanent and service housing. And also, we plan to reconstruct our objects and to have 60 flats, and then buying housing. 81 flat we plan to buy, and also to build 80 flats, and also to get through investment 109 flats. Investment is done in a planned manner, and we plan to build on the land plots that and then the number of built housing is will be 20%, and we hope that these houses that we will provide this housing to our servicemen, including those who serve in ATO area.
As for the this was my report about situation and the prospects for the next year. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions? I think you mentioned 40 families of the ATO participants. That they stay in a queue, and what is the situation of their accommodation? The ATO members, I mentioned that 40 people, those who were wounded, for them we have a separate queue, and in general we have a bigger number of National Guard servicemen who are ATO participants, but those who were wounded, they are formed into a special list, which is under very close control of the command. And I expect that during 2016 we will manage to resolve the problem with the accommodation of those families of the wounded ATO participants. Since there are no further questions, thank you for